All right, so let's start off, and want to start off and say welcome to the show, our first show ever. Uh, so Ivor and I were talking about how we should name this show. We're thinking maybe amateur hour, but then again, we want to keep it short, so let's see what happens. May it be amateur hour in 20 minutes, may it be less. Basically, the format is going to be two guys, definitely not historians, interested in history though, trying to rediscover some of the interesting stories that we may have forgotten about, maybe we never noticed, or maybe we just never told about. I don't know what it's like for you, Ivor, what kind of education you got,
I have
and
a history degree, so
all right, okay,
I
well,
have actually some background, but that doesn't mean that I know everything. And of course, my degree is only a bachelor's.
yeah, and I have to say I actually used to teach history for I would call middle school, I guess, over here in the Netherlands, and um, but that really doesn't say much, right? So we focus a lot, very much on certain parts of history, while we fully neglected other parts of history, and there's just so much in there that deserves our attention, and I really would love just to have a conversation each week where we discover one part of history that you may or may not know about, and you don't know what I'm going to be talking about today, and then the idea is next week you tell me something, and there's a good chance I won't know about it, and that's pretty much how we want to do this show. um, so let's start off with the first episode. If I mention to you Pandora's box, which technically isn't part of history. I mean, I guess if you believe in the ancient Greek gods, it
Yeah,
is.
some people
I
do,
don't know if you
still,
do.
supposedly. Some people claim
Right,
to at any rate.
but they did have a really big impact on a lot of words we use, and they're actually fascinating. And I want to talk a little bit more about this myth of Pandora's box. So, Ivor, how much do you know of Pandora's box?
Well, I first read about Pandora's box when I was in middle school, and it's mentioned in Edith Hamilton's mythology. So, just off the top of my head, basically, I can't remember. One of the gods made Pandora for whatever reason, which I don't recall, and they gave her this box, and they told her never to open the box. And
Okay. But
okay,
okay, all right.
all
So
right.
you
Sorry, if
you
you
know
want to tell the
quite a
story, go ahead. My bad.
bit.
You
You
asked a
know quite a
question,
bit
so
there.
I gave an answer.
So let me backtrack there a little bit, because when I heard Pandora's box, um, to be honest, and this is really bad. I was thinking like Tomb Raider, you know. That's about the level of. Have you ever seen Tomb Raider, the
Yeah,
movie?
I have one of those games. I need to play it. My wife, she played it. I think it's like the fourth one. She really liked it. It's
All right.
kind of like
Well,
a
in the movie, I believe it's the second movie where Lara Croft is hunting for Pandora's box, right? Which is supposedly has all these horrors in there. And that was basically I knew it from pop culture. That was about it. And I also know that it's often used to describe like technologies that have been developed and that are now out in the open.
which have
And
destructive potential and
exactly,
cannot
like
be
nuclear
like
weapons, or maybe some kind of deadly lab virus, or maybe virus coming from bat soup. Who knows, right? It's out in the open, and there's no way to return it. But what I really found interesting was, I've been reading about Greek mythology recently,
good.
um, and there's some really interesting stories in there, and this was one of them. And actually, Pandora, and you probably already know, she wasn't the first human to be around on the world, because actually before. Pandora, which is the first woman, was created,
I'm not sure
mankind.
about that she's the first woman. I think, but anyways, go ahead and continue. Sorry.
In Greek mythology, she's supposedly the first woman, right? But please do correct me later if I'm wrong. But before women were around, mankind was mostly just men, right? Um, Prometheus, which is one of the titans that was on the side of Zeus in the big Titan comedy, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, the War of the Gods.
Yeah.
He helped slay the Titans and establish the rule of the new gods, Zeus and his brothers and sisters and some of his illegitimate, ooh, dang, illegitimate children. Um, and you know, Prometheus was one of the Titans that was actually the smartest Titan. He and his brother who was not so smart, decided to pick up the side of Zeus because they knew that they were actually going to be winning the war. And Prometheus was actually the one that created humans, right? So in some of the poems, Zeus provided some of the spit, Kaya, which is earth, was used for the body, and then Athena, uh, she blew her breath into the first man. So there's like some really interesting stories about the different colors they used and how some of them were by mistake crushed because Zeus stepped on them, and that's why we only had in the end yellow, black, and white versions. It's quite funny anyway. But the story is actually that Prometheus was so in love with his creation that he wanted to give them fire, right? So that's something that Zeus definitely didn't want to happen because if that happened, he was afraid they would get too powerful and they would no longer need the gods. So I don't know if you know the story about Prometheus. I have a feeling you do. But
Yeah, they considered it a security threat to give the humans such advanced technology as fire. They're afraid
so so
that
what so what did Prometheus do to give fire to mankind?
he brought them. I think he brought them fire out of Olympus, but I'm not completely clear. I just remember that he brought them fire, and because of that, he was assigned a punishment. Um, which I don't know how much you want me to say.
I mean, you could tell a little bit more about the punishment, which I
They
find punishment very.
They change him to a stone, and there's like some bird that comes and eats on him. And I can't remember if it was an eagle or a raven or what exactly type of bird it was. An
Yeah,
eagle. Yeah, it
yeah,
comes and eats on him, and then he recovers, and it comes and eats some more.
yeah. He actually eats his liver every day. His liver gets eaten by the eagle, and it's like extreme agony. And then
Yeah,
his liver regrows, and then the next day it happens again for all eternity, right?
I
Until
think
he gets saved later on, actually.
eventually he gets released. I don't remember who is responsible for that. Yeah.
But interesting story, I think, and it makes me think of another god that gets punished. Guess which one?
Loki.
Uh, yeah, right. So really good story in my opinion. But so that's part of the story is that he gets punished, but Zeus also wants to punish Prometheus by giving him this gift, and the gift in essence is Pandora. So the first woman was created kind of as a punishment for mankind, which before that was called the golden era of mankind. And now this woman is given, all the gods have all these gifts for her. Like they give her all this jewelry and a crown on her head, and Athena teaches her how to weave and do all these amazing things. Excuse me. But in the end, Zeus is like, okay, well, he gives her curiosity, and then he gives her this box, which isn't actually a box, but it's a vase, but it gets translated as a box. which has like the horrors in the world, and it's like, all right, here's this box or this vase or whatever, but whatever you do, don't open it. And you know what? Like, see, of course, she tries to bury it, not think about it, but in the end, she opens it and she releases all these horrors into onto the world, except for one, which is well, I mean, she closes it before everything is
I
out. So
think the last thing that remained inside was hope, and her idea was to just like peek inside the box and close it fast. But of course, opening it even for a second was like enough. So basically, all the bad stuff got out, but she closed it in time to keep the good stuff from getting out that was in there as well.
yeah, yeah. So hope is the only thing in there that was left in there. But some people say it might be have been false hope. Um, so there are different explanations to it. But yeah, I mean, I found it to be really interesting because of the similarities also to if you look at to Adam and Eve in the Old Testament, where again it's kind of curiosity, and it's also women that kind of start it, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Um, there's some similarities there, and I just it's I just wanted to look into this, and I was like, oh, there's some really awesome stories here. And so far I've been really enjoying the Greek mythology, maybe even more so than Norse mythology. I don't know. What do you think? Which one is your favorite?
I mean, I don't like to pick. I like both. I think,
Okay.
though, if you have kids, Norse mythology is a bit safer because Greek stories can be pretty degenerate at times.
Yeah,
There
there's
can
a lot more
be,
sex in them for sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and across species sex. So it's like there's some there's some stuff that like I won't go into too much detail, but one of my sons, he loves the mythology stuff, and you just go looking at those videos. Eventually something bad will come up, but like there's also like the birth of the minotaur and stuff where the guy the woman lies with the bull, and that's not the only example. There's pretty much not a lot in the way of rules of conduct in the mythology as far as what you can sleep with and what you can't. Like pretty much everything happens. So, but I do like the Greek stories.
Yeah.
Um, there's
Yeah.
some stuff that's a little much, but yeah, I mean, I don't like to. I can't really choose. That'd be hard. But um, one thing I do recall, like I was going to say, like there's also a flood myth in the Greek mythology. I think it's called the story of Deucalion, where they also have a worldwide flood story, which you might want to check out, where the
No,
whole
I
world is
actually
destroyed.
that's one of the notation, or what do you call it, notes I made. It's like, this, not just Adam and Eve, but there's also Zeus, I think, wants to drown everybody,
Yeah,
and everybody pretty much dies except for two people.
yeah,
um
Deucalion and his wife, and yeah, and then but the Greek myths, they do contradict each other. So there's other creation stories like the story of the golden race, and then the silver race, and the iron
yeah,
race, and then the
yeah.
oh, were you going to get into that too?
No, no, that was actually it. I wanted to keep it short, and I think we're at nearly like 15 minutes. So I think that's pretty much the format I want to stick to, is just yeah, just kind of explore. In this time, this case, it's a myth. I'm curious to as to what you're going to talk about next week, and just explore these things together. And also, if anybody has any questions or suggestions on stories to pick up next, please drop them down below in the comments. And I look forward to rediscovering history together.